Welcome back to the third Saturday in October, your SEC water cooler podcast for the rest of us. Find us online at thirdsaturdayinoctober.com, on social media at TSIO Pod, and on Venmo at TSIO Pod. If you enjoy this show, share it with somebody. That's also the best way to support the show. I am your very biased host, Bradley, coming to you very solo this week as Jared is traveling. And uh, we've got new AP poll out. Um, so, fortunately or unfortunately, not a whole lot of change um, at the top, a little bit. Um, but it, I don't know. Let's just say I'm not in a good mood. Number one, Auburn. Number two, Alabama. Number three, Florida. Number, well, I guess tied for third, Duke. Um, fifth is Tennessee. Um, dropped down to eighth, Texas A&M. Dropped down to 15, Kentucky. Ole Miss at 19, Missouri at 21, State at 22. Um, why am I not happy? Tennessee wins uh, two convincing games and drops. Um, I'm I don't know. Uh, Florida did beat Auburn, but Auburn didn't fall a spot. So I don't know. I really thought that Alabama might be number one um, going into this week. I thought Tennessee would not drop to five after winning two straight, but here we are. So let's run through these. Alabama 1-0 this week. They beat an Arkansas team uh, that's gaining some momentum. I think Arkansas is finally starting to gel. Calipari's getting his message across, um, and they're starting to perform. Um, so that beating Arkansas is not what it was earlier in the season. Alabama now goes on the road to Texas and then hosts Auburn. Uh, I believe this is the first time there's been a 1-2 matchup in the SEC. So that's going to be a great game. Arkansas went 1-1. They beat Texas, but then they had to play Alabama. Good showings this week, though. Um, you know, hung around with Alabama. Um, Now they host LSU and then go to Texas A&M. Um, I I think uh, I think they beat LSU. I think it's going to be a good game against Texas A&M. We'll see where Arkansas stands after that. Auburn 1-1. They just got outplayed by Florida. But Florida is a strong team. Obviously, the voters thought so. They leapfrogged Tennessee, who just beat them um, the other day, even being shorthanded. Tennessee was shorthanded. Florida had their starting point guard out in that game as well, I think. Um, but yeah, Auburn just just got outplayed. They now have two games on the road at Vanderbilt and at Alabama. Um, I I think Auburn rebounds at Vanderbilt. That game against Alabama is going to be really really tough. Um, I I still have faith in Bruce Pearl and this Auburn team though. So I think they get the win at Alabama as well. Florida went 2-0. And this is a great week after rebounding from the loss to Tennessee. Um, and like I said earlier, dominant win over Auburn. Florida now goes to Mississippi State and then hosts South Carolina. I think they should win both of those games. Georgia went 1-1. Uh, they took a, they took care of LSU, and then they nearly knocked off Mississippi State. Um, so good showing there. Now it gets a little tougher at Texas A&M and then hosting Missouri. Um, it's going to be a tall task to beat um, both or even one of these teams. Um, so I'm not sure Georgia uh, wins either one of those. Kentucky, 1-1. Are they regressing to what they really are? Um, they they've not looked the same, and it's not about to get easier. They host Tennessee, who is out for blood. I can guarantee it after getting beat um, just a couple weeks ago, and then Kentucky goes to Texas. I think they can win that game at Texas. I'm I don't know. I think Tennessee is starting to click, and it's going to be hard to beat Tennessee even in Rupp Arena. LSU, oh, it's just a rough year for the Bayou Bengals. 0-2 this week. They go on the road to Arkansas and to Oklahoma. Not sure that they win either one of those. Um, Ole Miss, 2-0 this week, dominated Kentucky before just squeaking past LSU. Um, that may have been a little bit of a hangover from the Kentucky game. They now go to South Carolina. I think they win that one, and then they host Mississippi State. This will be a good game. Real good game. If it weren't for uh, Auburn at Alabama Saturday, this might be um, the game to watch. Um, so I don't know. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That's a toss up if you ask me. State, on the other hand, uh, 1-0. They eked one out against Georgia, and now they host. They host Florida before they go to Ole Miss. They they I th- I, th- I think they go 1-1 or at best 1-1. I don't think they beat Florida. Not how Florida's rolling right now. Um, and then against Ole Miss again, toss up. Missouri, tough week against Tennessee and arrested Texas A&M. Going 0-2. Now they've got Oklahoma. I think they beat Oklahoma, and at Georgia, I think they beat Georgia as well. Um, so I expect Missouri to bounce back. Oklahoma, welcome to the SEC. Drew both Auburn and Tennessee this week. Just a rough week for them. Um, Now they go to Missouri. I think they lose that one, and then they host LSU. I think they can beat LSU. South Carolina, um, Kentucky was mad, and USC just happened to be the whipping boy. Um, Kentucky having just lost. Um, so now South Carolina hosts Ole Miss. I think they lose that one. They travel to Florida. I think they lose that one as well. Um, Tennessee 2-0 this week. Won against a tough Missouri team with two starters. Well, without two starters. Uh, Milicic had the flu, and Ziegler was resting that hyperextended knee. Um, but Tennessee really, really played well, and I think um, some of these guys off the bench they need to get a few more minutes. I mean, Ziegler plays 39 out of 40 minutes, 39 and a half out of 40 minutes. He doesn't sit, but I think to keep him from being too exhausted um, and getting him a little bit of rest, you got to play these bench players who have shown they can play. Gainey has stepped up in Ziegler's absence against Illinois when Ziegler was in foul trouble, and then when Ziegler was hurt. Um, he can go and put up double digit points for you. Um, so I think these guys just need to play more. Cade Phillips playing really well. I think he's almost back to full strength, even though he's still wearing that that brace on his shoulder. Tennessee now goes to Kentucky and hosts Vanderbilt. I really do expect them to win both those, especially with the bulletin board material saying Florida jump them. Duke not drop past them. I think Tennessee's fired up. So expect Tennessee to go 2-0 this week. Texas, again, like Oklahoma, welcome to the SEC. Two good teams in Arkansas and Vanderbilt that Texas had to face this week. Um, both teams, uh, both Vanderbilt and Arkansas, I I think are really solid teams, not ranked at the moment, but I I think they'll be. I think they both make the tournament. Texas now has Alabama and Kentucky hosting both of those. Uh, it's gonna be a rough week. A&M beat a Missouri team that has a stout defense, um, but they had just been beaten down by Tennessee early in the week. So I think A&M being rested and taking on a team in Missouri who I mean it Tennessee plays hard, probably most against Auburn, but it's hard playing Tennessee and hard beating them. Um, uh, so that was Missouri's thing, but then A&M had rest, and A&M got the win there. They now host Georgia and then host Arkansas. Um, I think the win against Georgia, Arkansas, that'll probably be a good game. We'll see where Arkansas is as they travel to A&M, and then Vanderbilt. They took their licks against Florida, but before laying it on Texas, um, and going 1-1. But they have a rough week. Host Auburn and then host Tennessee. Oof, I think it's an 0-2 week for Vanderbilt. Um, so that's what we saw this last week. Um, I mean, you've got Alabama and Auburn at the top. Um, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri's taking a couple losses now. I mean, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, um, ranked. Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Not sure how far out of the rankings they are, but I think they're tournament teams. Um, Kentucky slipping up a little bit. There's still a lot of good basketball in the SEC, and you can't take a single night lightly. Um, it's hard to make it through 2-0. You got Florida did it, Mississippi did it, Tennessee did it. That's it. Three teams did that this week. Now Alabama, uh, Ole Miss. I'm sorry, Alabama, Mississippi State, A&M, also went 1-0, but it's hard to go 2-0 in a week in the SEC. Um, there's some good games this weekend. Alabama, Auburn, uh, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I think Texas A&M, Arkansas should be interesting. Um, so uh, I think you need to be watching basketball this weekend. And if you've got the time, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. What do you think? How do you feel about these AP poll rankings? I think they're garbage, quite honestly. Not happy about Tennessee being fifth. Um, not happy about Florida jumping them, though Florida did beat Auburn at Auburn pretty soundly. Um, but then Auburn didn't drop. So I don't know. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Um, my monkeys can be found on third Saturday in October.com or on social media at TSIO Pod. Support the show on through Venmo at TSIO Pod, but also support the show by sharing this with somebody who's a fan of an SEC basketball team, do this. Who do you know that cheers for your biggest rival? Send this podcast to them. Um, I love getting hate mail. Podcast at third Saturday in October.com. That's how you can reach us. Uh, Big week for a lot of teams this week. That is why I'm going to say heroes come in all sizes and roll Vols.
Tailgate, pancake, living room, pregame, burgers, ribs, chicken wing, chip and dip, pregame, scotch and a lot of IPA, Coca-Cola, pregame.